Hello. I just wanted to share something interesting that happened to me, just as a first YouTube video idea. I've never made a YouTube video before, but it sounded like fun, so here we are. So I figured that I would talk about this weird thing that happened to me when I was 13, before I was about to be a freshman in high school. And basically, I'll try to make it kind of brief as possible, but I'd been wanting to have a dream or meet someone in my dreams. I'd wanted to have a meaningful conversation with someone and really talk to some kind of dream being, I guess you could say, which was something that I'd never done before, and I thought it would be cool. And by this point in my life, I'd had sleep paralysis a lot and lucid dreamt a lot, so I was very familiar with the weird sleep phenomena, basically. But one night, about a week before I started high school, I had a either like a lucid dream or like a sleep paralysis kind of hybrid, which I get a lot, basically where I'm paralyzed and I can't move, but there's like a fully fledged dream world around me. So it's not like I open my eyes and I see my bedroom. It's more like it's an actual dream where I see it's an actual dream where I see hallucinations of being in a different place, basically. So I have this experience. I can't move, but I know that there's a young man on top of me, or a boy on top of me, and I never got a good look at his face, but I knew there was someone on top of me, and I could feel their weight on top of me, and I was getting all like the vibrations that you get during sleep paralysis, and just like the really intense like vibrations that are actually pretty uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, that cover my body while I'm having sleep paralysis. It basically feels like you're being electrified. I would not recommend it. It's not fun. It's very overwhelming and very intense in feeling, and not in a good way. So, what is that? I'm kind of spooked out right now because it's really dark out and it's nighttime, and I'm thinking about spooky things. But, so I can't move, and I know this young man's on top of me, and I kind of just let it happen. I think I was fairly scared, like I always was with sleep paralysis, and still am. I was fairly, scared that something really scary was going to happen. And, but no, nothing happened. He kind of just stayed on top of me, and we weren't actively doing anything. Sorry, my cat's over there. We weren't actively doing anything sexual or anything, but it definitely kind of felt like that vibe. Like it felt kind of heated in a way, but nothing was happening. He was kind of just laying on top of me. And nothing really came of that, and I woke up and everything was normal. And then the next night, I had the same exact thing happen to me. And this has never happened to me. I've never had the same dream 2 times in a row. I've never had a experience where, I've never had like some meaningful kind of sleep thing happened to me 2 times in a row. So I was very, that's the first thing I remember, because I, fully conscious, like you're having sleep paralysis. So it hit me like, wow, this is very strange. This same exact thing happened to me last night. What's going on? I was just very shocked and very curious about what was going on. And, so the same person was there on top of me again, and it felt the same way. And this time I wanted to try talking to him because it was very interesting. So I wanted to see if he would respond to me, basically. So the first thing I asked him was what his name was, and he said his name was Dan. And then I wanted to ask him something else. I thought of what to ask him. So I thought of asking him his age, how old he was, and he said he was 16. And his answers were very brief. It was almost as if he didn't really want to talk much. Or I don't know how that stuff works, but it was quite brief. And And I was very curious, like I was very excited that he had responded to me. I just thought it was extremely neat. Nothing like that had ever happened to me. I'd never had a dream or any kind of sleep experience where it really felt like I was talking to another person that wasn't me, where I was really talking to a separate being, I guess, if that makes sense. So I was very fascinated and just very excited. But after that, we didn't talk anymore, and I kind of just let it continue on. And he kind of just stayed on top of me, and nothing really happened. But so I woke up eventually, and about a week later, I would say, I started high school. I was 13, and I was about to be a freshman. And I remember either on the first day or one of the days, like in the first week, I would say, very, very early on, I was walking kind of out front of the school. I was walking towards where the buses would pick you up to take you home. And several yards in front of me, I see this person. And, and by the way, when I was having that sleep paralysis, I forgot to describe this. I was in a church. I was like laying in between two wooden pews, and I was kind of laying on kind of like a reddish carpet that was going in between the pews. And I was laying on my back, just for context. But anyway, so I was looking in front of me right when my high school started, when I was walking outside, and I saw this person, and I didn't see their face at all, but I just saw their back, and they were facing me, and they were facing away from me, and they were walking the same direction I was, so, I didn't see their face, but I saw their back, and for some reason, this person just seemed extremely interesting to me. Like, I was extremely curious about them, and I didn't know who they were, of course. I wasn't, like, interested romantically. I couldn't even see them. It was more like this person, it was almost like they were the only person in the world at that moment, and not in, like, any kind of romantic way, but just, like, all the focus was on them, and my mind was just very focused on them, and just, like, very curious about who that person was. And so we just kept walking, and eventually one of us turned. Sorry, that's my cat. He's scratching on his scratcher. Jack, shush. So anyway, we walk for a little bit while longer, and then one of us turns, and I don't see them anymore. But nothing really crazy came out of that. It was just more like, who is that person? And, but they were very recognizable. They would end up being very recognizable. I would end up seeing them a lot in the hallways, just walking around. I remember they had like a very, like, recognizable hair. Their hair was like very curly and blonde, and it was quite long. It like went to their shoulders, and they had he had a certain jacket on and maybe a hat. He kind of gave old-fashioned a little bit, so he was very recognizable when I ended up seeing him around school. And over the next few weeks, I ended up forming a really strong crush on this person, like very intense, very quickly. And I didn't even know who they were, but it was just very intense and sudden crush on them for no good reason. And so time passes, maybe about a month, no more than a month, and I'm standing outside the school waiting for the bus to go home, and I'm waiting with a friend named Laura that I just met right when I saw this guy for the first time, basically, right in that same general time, because she just moved into my apartment complex, and we'd wait for the bus in the morning to go to school together, or to go to school. So I think that's how we met. We were not close friends, and we never were, really. But, we would talk, we went to the same school in the same apartment, rode the same bus, so we would talk sometimes. And I need to let my cat out. I'll be right back. He really wants out of this bedroom. Okay. I'm back. So, So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so one day her and I were waiting to go home. We were waiting for the school bus to go back home, and this guy was waiting in the same general area, but he wouldn't take the bus. He would just wait with his friends. He would just wait with them, and I would end up later learning that he walks home or rides his bike home or something. But I was waiting for the bus with this friend named Laura, and she asked me randomly. She just said, like, do you have a crush on anyone? And I said, yes, a matter of fact, I do. And coincidentally, he's right over there. Because, like I said, he would wait in that general area at the end of the day. And I would see him there every day, basically. And I said, yeah, he's right there. And she just had this look of shock on her face. Like, she was so stunned. And I just remember what she said. She said, oh my gosh, that's Dan. He goes to my school. Or he goes to my church. Sorry, he goes to my church. And I was just like, wow. Like, I was just so shocked that she knew him. And this is a American public high school with like 2,500 students. And I'd really just met her, really. So it was just looking back at the story now, like this is the biggest coincidence, really, that she knew him, this random guy. So it was just very small world-esque, I guess, because also it just felt more intense because I was also just kind of a loner. I still am. I don't really have any friends. But this was certainly true when I was in high school, so I really didn't know that many people. So it's just crazy that these two people that I knew each other. But whatever. And so yeah, looking back, that's kind of the biggest coincidence. But of course, and then she said that he was a junior, so he was 16 at that time. And so he had the same name and age as this person that I just dreamt of. And, or talked to, I guess. And also he was religious. I don't know if that really means anything substantial, but those sleep paralysis things that I had in a little while before, I was in a church, so I don't know if that really means anything, but and unfortunately I didn't get a good look at him during the dreams or whatever they were. I really wish that I had, but I don't remember what he looked like, but that would have been really interesting. I guess I kind of got the vibe that he had light colored hair, but there wasn't anything else really. But anyway, over the next few years, I ended up having a really strong crush on this person. To be honest, it was kind of obsessive. I feel kind of bad about that, but I really became quite obsessed with him. Sorry if that's creepy. Sorry, Dan, if by some miracle you're watching this, but yeah, over the next few years, I just developed an extremely intense obsession with this person, and I didn't make that connection to the dream for a little while, probably like a month later, because it really wasn't that important. Like, it wasn't at the forefront of my mind, really, back, like, right at that time. But, after I had those two dreams, I actually wrote them down in my dream journal, and I still have a dream journal. I keep one. But this is from 2013, and I still have it. So I'm just gonna read what I said. So 8/30/13. So that's August 30th of 2013. And I say, blah 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 blah. I had sleep paralysis a while back. It was odd. I think it was sleep paralysis anyway. This boy visited me. He was being sexual towards me. I was curious, so I let it happen. The next night, the same person came by. He started being sexual again, but I interrupted him, and I asked how old he was and what his name was. I saw him a bit too. He said his name was Dan, and he also said he was 16. And then I go on to just talk about the very beginnings of high school and what it had been like so far. But yeah, So basically, like I said, I ended up being obsessed with this person, not just because of this dream that I had, but also just, because I ended up really liking him. I never talked to him though. He was extremely shy, and so was I. It was kind of doomed from the start, but this girl, her name was Laura. This is the girl that I was talking to. She and him were Mormons, so I'd never like really known someone to be a Mormon before, so that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I was learning all this interesting stuff about him, and she was kind of a little bit of a bully, honestly. She kind of poked fun at me a lot. But one of the things she would do is she would kind of tease me a little bit. She would say like, "Oh, my church, we just all got together and we went swimming, and he wasn't wearing a shirt, and haha, you're never gonna be able to see that," and whatnot and so forth. And I didn't really want to see him without a shirt, to be honest. It was really more of like, this person, I just really want to get to know him. I want to be his friend or something. I don't know, some crazy schizo thoughts probably. But yeah, it just, obviously I never ended up being his friend. um, but I'll just say how the story ended. So he was a freshman, so he was 2 years older than me. And like I said, during those 2 years, I just developed a really big crush on him. And then he graduated, and I was extremely upset about it. Of course, I knew it was coming, and I was trying to hype myself up into talking to him, but I never could. To me, it was just the scariest thing that you could do. It was the scariest thing possible. But then, on his very last day, I went and talked to him in the cafeteria during lunch, and I told him, or I asked him if we could talk outside for a second, and he was extremely introverted and uncomfortable, I think. And God knows I was uncomfortable. Oh my goodness, my heart was racing. But it really felt like something I had to do, like something I frequently thought was like, I'm not going to be able to live with myself if I don't tell this person. Like, I have to tell him. There's no question about it. Like, I literally have to. It's so important. And of course, I didn't think that you would want to be with me or something. It was more of just like, I felt very compelled to do it. Like, I felt like it was an assignment somehow, like, or not an assignment, but I just felt like it was very important, and I would just not be able to live it down if I didn't tell him. But yeah, so I told him, like, can we speak outside? And he said no. And I was just like, okay, whatever. And then I kept going, and I was just like, well, I've really liked you these past few years, and I know you don't know me, but I've just really liked you. And that was basically all I said. I don't know what I was expecting, really, but he basically just looked at me and he said, oh, like, he just said, okay. And he was clearly really uncomfortable. And then I think I literally just like kind of ran out of the cafeteria in complete and utter, I was so overwhelmed having told him that. And I remember I ran to the gym that was like a building over from the cafeteria, and I just kind of like, I just sat where nobody was. I sat on the outside of the gym, like outside and behind the corner, and I just cried so hard. I just wept and wept, and it was tears really of just relief, because it felt like I had done something that was giving me a very, very, very intense amount of stress for such a long time, and I felt like I just had relief basically from all of that. So yeah, I just cried, and it was like so relieving and very intense. And it was just so scary telling him that. And yeah, and I actually did end up seeing him again at one point, but I won't go into that. But it was just a complete actually, I'll share really quickly what it was, just because it's kind of funny. But this was like a year and a half later, and at this point I was a junior in high school, and I think near the end of the school year, so I was 16, and I was a junior, and I had a job at a grocery store in town, like local, And I had been working there for a few months at that point, I think. And it was almost closing time, and I was off. It was like 10 p.m. or something, and the store was gonna close within like an hour, I think. So yeah, and I was walking out of the exit doors, and there was quite a long ways in front of me that I still had to walk to exit the building. But I was making my way towards the exit, and I see this person enter, and obviously I'm fairly far away. It's I don't know how many yards or feet it was, but it was quite a ways away. I mean, you could still tell someone's gender and like general like body composition or whatever, but you really couldn't see any details. But I just knew it was him. I just knew it was him. And he looked the same, like he had the same recognizable hair and clothing, and I just knew it was him. And instantly my heart just dropped, and it'd been more than a year since I'd seen him, and I was still very much kind of like not obsessed with him, obviously, but like still very much like just interested in what had happened, and I thought about it a decent amount. But I definitely was like, I'd mostly moved on, basically. But it was just a huge shock to see him, and I just felt this like intense, just like scared, like, oh my god, like, no, I don't want him to see me. Like, I just felt so embarrassed for what I told him, in high school. I was very embarrassed about that, and I just didn't want him to see me. I didn't want to talk to him. So instantly I took a sharp left, and I went out of the exit that was right next to me, which was a closer exit, but then you have to walk the same distance just outside, kind of like parallel to the building. But obviously, like, I was gonna do that because I didn't want to see him. But so yeah, I'm outside, and I think I'm safe. I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, thank God I'm not gonna see him. So I keep walking the same direction towards the bus, just outside now, and in the distance, in the same similar distance, because I'm outside now, and in the same distance but outside this time, I see him, and he's walking towards me. So clearly he wants to go into the building, and he sees me, and it was so fucking embarrassing. I was just like, are you actually serious? Like, I just remember being just like completely like, why would you? Thinking about it now, like, there's all sorts of things that I think about. Like, he surely knew that I went outside to avoid him. Like, he saw me make a sharp left. Surely he did, because I don't know. But why would he also go outside? Like, there's so many things, and I definitely didn't get the vibe that he wanted to talk to me. So I don't think it's like that. No. I think he was trying also possibly to, like, avoid me. That's the vibe that I got when it happened. But no. And I just remember as I was walking, like, approaching him slowly, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna try not to be a weirdo about this. I'm just gonna try to be normal and nice, and I'm just gonna fucking try to smile at him. And I did. I looked at him, I think, in the eyes, like, very briefly for just, like, a second. I smiled at him. And that's it. And he looked at me, I think, for a second, and he didn't do anything. He didn't smile, he didn't do a thing, and I just thought it was really embarrassing. But obviously that's just an aside, that's not related to the story at all. And that's the last time I ever saw him, and that was in like 2016, so 10 years ago. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's one of the weird things that have happened to me. It's obviously not as weird as seeing like a fucking alien spaceship or something, but to me it was weird because it was just these series of coincidences that were kind of happening to me in like a short period of time, like a month. And also just, I guess, at this really pivotal time in my life when I started high school as a 13-year-old, I'm sure the person listening to this right now, I'm sure you have very emotional memories of that age range. And just, for me at least, it was just a very emotional time. Like, all of my emotions were just heightened and very intense. The way I thought about people and the way that I felt about certain things, and a lot of my, I feel like, personality and like current self was evolved during that time period. So I think it was just kind of a really pivotal part for me, life in my life in general. And I was also going through so much terrible stuff at home, just not to get into it, but just like pretty intense alcohol abuse on part of my mom. And so it was just like kind of just almost kind of became an escape thinking about this person. Like I said, I became pretty obsessed with them. I dreamt about them all the time. I drew pictures of them all the time. I thought about him all the time. It was actually crazy. It was actually insane. And definitely was like a limerence thing. Like, pretty insane. Like, objectively. I was probably clinically insane doing all that. I feel really bad about that. But you know what? It is what it is, and it happened. But anyway, I've had several other kind of sleep-related, like really weird sleep-related things happen to me like that. Maybe I'll get into in other videos that'd be fun to talk about. But yeah, this is just the, like, I would say probably the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me. And like I said, I know it's not paranormal. I know it's perfectly explainable, but the amount of coincidences was just really crazy. The same age, the same name, and also the church setting, if that's relevant at all. But yeah, that is, I guess, one of the most interesting things that have ever happened to me. Thank you for listening to my story.